Okay, something really weird is happening. Welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathy. Good to see you guys. Hey, Cavalier Mom and Betty, and me in the chat. So we are going to do day 3 on the Jacqueline and Trezelle West case, Orrin and Orson West missing children case. Day 3. If you haven't been here the last couple nights, I did day 1 and 2. You can go back and watch the replay. And for everybody that is new, please say hello in the chat. My name's Kathy. I've had this channel for about 3 years. My day job, I'm a registered nurse. My night job, I guess, is kind of this stuff. And just got off work and been listening to the hearing. I wish it was recorded, but it's not. So you have to listen in live. And the audio sometimes is a little difficult to get. But we've been doing it and discussing it in Discord. So if you're not in Discord, come on in and join. Members have access to the whole thing. Any of you subscribers and anybody else that's interested, you're welcome to come in too. There's plenty of channels that everybody is involved, shares, talks in, all that kind of stuff. So if you're watching the replay, hello, thank you for being here. And don't forget to hit the like button, everybody. That helps my channel grow. So, and yes, everybody say hello anyway, whether new or not. Sure, why not, right? Why am I saying if you're new, just say extra hello, I guess. How do you find me in Discord? We have do you guys do my mods? Lori, do you have the link or do you want me to grab it? There is a link and you are a member, so you should be in there for sure. So, okay, I need to take a breath. This was a crazy long day. TGIF tomorrow. Hello, Carrie. And I listened to almost all of it today. Again, multitasking my day job, but they take an hour and a half break for lunch. They start a little later than I start in the morning. They end earlier than I end in the afternoon. And then they have those 2 bigger breaks in the middle. So call my people and then chart while I'm a case manager. Anyway, if you didn't know that. So I work from home. So chart, and then listen to all this that's going on. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So this case, as you all know, because probably everybody here are people that have followed me and follow this case. But if not, it has been going on for a couple years. Yes, Cavalier Mom, she took her a while, but now she likes Discord. There's a little learning curve to it, but once you get the swing of it, you're good. And we'll help you. So Orrin and Orson West, born as classic and sincere, were part of the system. They were taken from their mother due to some suspected the one baby, and I keep getting them mixed up, but one of them had a broken femur as a little tiny newborn baby that couldn't even roll over yet. If you know anything about anything, a broken femur in a newborn baby is literally impossible without some kind of trauma. So you're fine, Ruby. So there's a lot of weirdness to this case. Jacqueline and Trezelle, they adopted them after they fostered them. They also had 2 other foster children, and they had 2 biological children. I should say. And this case got insane. I did a lot of videos on it. There's a lot of weird stuff that went on in this case. There was a lot of bullying. There's a lot of jump to conclusions. There's a lot of closed-mindedness. There's a lot of open-mindedness. There's a lot of people thinking a lot of ways. But the general consensus on the channels right from the get-go was these people looked weird. They held their body weird when they came on camera. But now that we're listening to the trial, it's starting to make a little more sense to me. Hello, small fries. And the sense that it's beginning to make to me is, I know there's been studies and I need to find one, but when immediately somebody decides something against someone, a law enforcement official, sometimes that just sort of sweeps everything that direction. And I have talked to people that are in the community, California City community, which is where this crime took place, if you believe what the Wests are saying, that these children were abducted. And it's a little town. It doesn't have a lot of a big police force or a lot of experience. The nearest town close by is Bakersfield, California, which is, as Californians, that's kind of like a kind of place. Like it's not LA, it's not San Francisco, it's not Orange County, it's Bakersfield. It's very hot there in the summer, very cold in the winter. It's the desert. So I want to go over today. If you aren't caught up, please make sure just to go back and watch day 1 and 2 where we went over this. I've been taking notes, so this is kind of a rough version of what happened on the trial. I am not a news person. I'm just a regular old mom, grandma, American, Californian, and nurse. And so this is just interesting to me to see how the justice system works. I've been on a jury one time only, and I thought it was very interesting. And I also, and Jenny, I do agree with that. People kind of, in your own head, you make preconceived. So I'm really trying, I kind of wish I didn't know so much about this case because I'm really trying to listen to it because we're only listening to it. I can't see the evidence, but I'm really trying to think like a juror. When I was a juror, I took it very seriously. And I wanted some facts. Prove to me this happened. I felt like, and like I was bringing that last night when we finally went back to deliberate, and my case was only like 3 days. I was like, oh God, thank God we can talk, so I can only imagine being on these long cases and not being able to talk to the people. And you eat lunch with them and talk, small talk and stuff, and go back to the jury room and like, hey, hi, every time they send you out of court. And so it's really interesting that you're not allowed to talk about the case and you're not allowed to look up the case and you're not allowed to research the case. And I'm sure there are people that do, but I took it very seriously and I would not. I think this is a huge, important responsibility for communities to have jurors that are peers, part of the community. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Enough about that. So my position on this case, right from last year or 2 years ago, was I don't know. I'm not sure. There's a lot of things that aren't adding up for me. I have my doubts. Thank you, Cinderella. And I had my doubts, and I was like, it's makes sense. And then when you hear more and more about the family and the situation, and that there were people that, a bio family that did not want to lose these children. I mean, who wants to lose their children to the system? Probably nobody. I deal with people all day long. And my job, I'm a high risk OB case manager, and I have a lot of moms that have issues and are drug addicts and are poor and are homeless and have problems and have lost kid after kid after kid and have another kid and have another kid and lose that kid and lose that. And a lot of them really truly blame the system and they don't take responsibility for their own actions and everything. No, okay, just to interrupt that and answer this question. I was on this channel yesterday and I'm a little confused. There are 2 admins or content creators on this channel because I swear the one yesterday wasn't you I'm looking at. I'm losing it. Well, yesterday I didn't even turn my camera on, number 1. And then my friend, Idaho Mom Reports, who is going to be at the Vallow Daybell hearing. She is one of my members, and she has come on with me, and she came on yesterday a little bit because she went to the hearing for the Vallow Daybell hearing yesterday. So she'll pop on from time to time to give us updates because she is going to be going to that trial. She's going to try to be there every day. She's local in Idaho, near Boise. So yes, and we didn't have our cams on. Exactly. Hi, Catalina. Welcome. So yeah, that's kind of how it works. So this literally is my channel. I'm Kathy. And it's my channel. I started it by accident, really, truly, during the pandemic, and then started following the Daybell case. And thought it was kind of interesting to be able to make a community and talk about true crime and all this stuff. Lori's having technical issues. Okay. It's okay. Figure it out. You're fine. So that's what happened yesterday. So you will see her. She's in the chat right now, under Cavalier Mom, and she is planning on changing her name for her channel name, and she's going to stream stuff on her channel as well. So go over there and join, because if you're following the Vallow Daybell case, she'll be great. She's going to the trial every day, and she's going to help us out because that one is not being live streamed either. You're welcome. Thank you, Carrie. So on this case, from the beginning, people got mad at me because I was like, I don't know. And so I was trying to sort of dig into it. Like, let me see some evidence. Let me find some stuff. And things were coming up, and different other channels were finding some weird things, like a weird white van that drove by, and that wasn't their thing, and video surveillance that looked edited, and how did the family know the bio family know the kids were gone already, and how did all this happen? How does it all come together? So I've always been like, I don't know. My personal feeling was, I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I mean, when they were arrested, I was like, oh, I think I was wrong. Okay, I can be wrong. I don't mind admitting that. I'll be wrong. I don't care. I'm not one of those people that are going to be like, I'm always right. I'm right no matter what. I'm going to stick to my being right, even if it's wrong. So so that's just my background take on this whole case. And so now I said, I want to go into this trial and listen with an open mind. So today was day 3. And me and my open mind went in. Not in, but in. My ears went in. And I'm going to find my notes here. Day 3. Okay. So when we left off yesterday, Officer Brian Hansen was on the stand all day yesterday. It was the first officer on the scene. He is the one that showed up. He is the one that took the lead as a patrol officer, not as the detective, but as a patrol officer on this case. And he had a guy with him whose name is Joshua Flores. And Brian Hansen was a training officer of Joshua Flores. And I'm going to look for something real quick here because I want to show you. Cal City. I'm going to show you this guy so we know who we're talking about. Okay. Oh, I want a better one. I got to find a better picture. Hold on. Officer Hansen. Okay. So I'm going to share a picture so we can, it's nice to see. It's nice to see faces. You know what I mean? I like to find out who these people are. So this is Officer Hansen, California City police officer. This is, I guess, something he did, ran with a torch or something like that. So this is the guy we're talking about right here. He was on the stand all day yesterday and most of today. And, whoops. Hold on. What did I do? Something's wrong here. Okay, sorry. Okay. So he was on the stand all day yesterday and most of today. I'll let you guys judge for yourself. And I wish you were all listening to this too, so you could tell me what you actually think, but some of you were. And I'm going to hear everything. I want to hear everything before I make a decision on what happened. But I will tell you right now off the bat, the defense attorney is good. Jacqueline's attorney is good. The prosecution needs to step it up a little bit. The prosecution doesn't seem as invested. Just my sense that I'm getting by their questions, and their no further questions and this and that. But the defense attorney she's good. She's doing some good work. She's making some reasonable doubt. But maybe the prosecution has some real big guns in their back pocket that are going to show up later. Maybe we're just getting into it now. Who knows? But anyway, so I'll get rid of Hansen. We just don't need him there. So Orrin and Orson there was some stuff about you keep your kids separate. This is all the body. Okay, so this is the body cam footage they were playing when it started this morning. It was the last 10 minutes of yesterday's body cam footage. And he was questioning them like, oh, you keep your kids separate. She says when the older kids go to school, because they homeschool, it was during the pandemic, they're in a classroom. She leaves the littler ones go and play in their room, stuff like that. And he's like, well, so for the past 2 months, you've kept your kids separate? And she was like, they were like, yeah, I was. And he said something like, you and your wife to Trezelle are full of shit. He said that right to Trezelle in the body cam. You and your wife are full of shit. So this is day one. And Officer Hanson, the patrol officer that comes in, he starts accusing them and flat out swears at them, tells them they're full of shit, basically. He said, there's too many holes, poking holes in your story. There's too many holes. And they said, Trezelle was like, I wasn't going to tell my other kids anything till after Christmas that the boys were gone, because the older four boys were at grandma's house, and they had the younger 2 boys with them. And this was December 21st, 2020. And so when they, according to Trezelle and Jacqueline's story, when they realized these kids were missing, they didn't want to freak out the other kids. They weren't going to tell them until either the kids were found or until after Christmas. So there was FBI there, and somebody named John, and blah, blah, blah. So that was that. So they ended that interview, that body cam footage, and they hold on. Oh, they asked him also, like, how did you, because, okay, the neighbor across the street, and stay with me here because you got to watch yesterday's to keep up, because I don't want to go all the way back. But the neighbor across the street, his name is Jesse Dobbins, and he's a young guy. He owned the house across the street, and he had a doorbell camera. So apparently, Officer Hanson reached out to Nest, because he had the Nest doorbell camera, and tried to get more footage because he had the not paid version of this camera, the Nest. I have the paid version, so I know I know exactly what it is. The unpaid version is just going to do it. It's just like going to do a screenshot, just a picture, a clip of somebody coming to your door or something. The paid version, I can see somebody come into my door, and I can also let it play all the way past that forever and ever, and go all the way back forever and ever. But he didn't have that. So they wanted more video. So they contacted Google Nest to see if they could get more footage, and apparently couldn't. But he didn't document that anywhere that he tried. Then he says, you called CPS the night of this, right? You called CPS. He doesn't remember. I don't remember. He didn't remember a lot of things. He didn't remember things that he said yesterday. So it was kind of weird. And he said, did you inform CPS that there was video of the boys walking down the street? Because at some point it is documented somewhere that there was video of the boys walking down the street. But this is nowhere now. Nowhere. No video. But it's documented that it was said to CPS that there was video of the 2 boys walking down the street. And then he said, they started talking about footprints again in the backyard, because he was like, that officer had said he didn't see any kids' footprints. So then cross-examination, which obviously all day the cross-examination was the winner of the day every single time, because the cross was good, and the defense attorneys are pretty good. They're really good, actually, especially the woman, Jackie's attorney. So he said, you went back, she was like, okay, so Officer Hanson, so you drove around and then you went back to the Wests? He said, yes. He said, so when you got there, you drove up to the Wests, yes. Then you drove around looking for the boys. He said, yes. Then you came back to the West. He said, yes. He said he went down to the street called Harvard, where Trezelle had said he went to Harvard. And he said, and you watched a video over there. And he said, yes. But she said, you never testified about that. You never put that in your report. And he said, like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess. No, I don't know. I don't recall, blah, blah, blah. So she said, this is the first time you've ever brought that up. And he said, well, it's in the body cam. And she said, but you've never put it in your report and everything. He said, well, it's in the body cam. And then she said, well, is this a ruse? Did you lie to Trezelle, basically saying that you went there? And he's like, no. So it was, they kind of pointed out a lot about the fact that there was so much stuff that he says now that was never put in the report. It just didn't make sense. And I'm just going to tell you right now, as a nurse, we have to chart everything. And I said before, if it's not charted, it's not done. Like, you have to document everything you do. It's cover your ass is what it is. And his ass is getting ripped apart because he didn't cover his butt with this case. Then there is a family by the name of Chavez. Apparently, this woman, Chavez, works for the city of Cal City. She lives on 108th Street, and she did have some clips of Trezelle's van going back and forth or going past her house. There were clips. They found clips on her camera because they were trying to tell Trezelle he never looked for the boys, right? But there are clips of him driving by. So Harvard House had video that was not submitted but was talked about of Trezelle, but it wasn't turned in anywhere. Dobbins' house across the street had the Nest video of not seeing the kids, apparently, but clips of things like Trezelle's van. And then the Chavez house had a clip of the van. Then he said, okay, so you came back and you sat at the kitchen table with Trezelle and you said, we got badass footage. And she said, was that a ruse? And he's like, well, no. Ruse, I guess, means like we're making up a story to get you to cave, get you to confess. He told them, we review footage, video footage, and there's no video of you. So that is a lie because there was video of him, I guess, by this house that comes up later. When he's on the stand, they play that body cam footage and he's like, they saw it. He says they saw it. So Officer Hansen is a terrible witness for the prosecution. He just is. He just is. And then they went to the other house. Did you look back at that? He goes, I think I did. There was a lot of I think, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't recall. And then he said, to the West, the dogs that were here, they didn't have the boys' scent. They didn't pick up the scent anywhere. And she says, did you know, were those cadaver dogs? What kind of dogs were they? And he says, I don't know. They were dogs that I wouldn't think they're cadaver dogs because we were looking for missing kids, not dead bodies at that point. And she says, well, did you know that those dogs couldn't track a specific human's scent? And he's like, I don't know. I didn't know. I don't know anything. I don't know. I don't know what they could do. But he had told the West those dogs did not pick up your kid's scent. So he didn't know what those dogs were capable, what kind of dogs they really were. And those dogs were not capable of picking up a certain person's scent. They just weren't. So I don't know. Hopefully more of that comes out later about these dogs. Maybe the dog people will show up on stand and explain what the dogs were actually doing and what they did. I'm assuming that will happen, because everything's bit by bit by bit right now. You can use emojis on here. Emojis are fine. Anything goes. We're very casual here. Right? I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? Nightbot sometimes I need to change Nightbot settings if it yells at you about too many emojis. I don't know. I just got Nightbot, so we're still figuring Nightbot out. Don't worry about it. If he yells at you, just say, "Sorry, Nightbot, you're in beta training still. We don't know." Sorry about that. I don't know. Must be a setting. We have to go in there. Lori and I are trying to figure out Nightbot. We like that he can tell you guys, or he or she or whatever can tell you guys, here's links, here's this, here's that. But sometimes it gets a little bossy. You can ask a lot of people. And I don't know why. I must have a setting because he's not. Yeah, see, there he's talking to you again, telling you about Afterglow podcast and stuff. But he also gets bossy. So you don't have to worry about him. We'll straighten him out later. Then she's like, okay, do you know anything about Megan's list? And he said, yes. She's like, that's the registered sex offenders in the area. And she said, yes. Okay. Yeah. And he said, so, you know what that is? Did you have a list that day? And he said, no. And she goes, you can find that list on the internet. And he's like, okay. And then she goes into the fact that he took Trezelle's gun. And she says, did you take Trezelle's gun? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And she's like, well, you didn't take Trezelle's gun and give it to Officer Flores and have him put it in his back pocket? And he's like, I don't remember. And yeah, night bossy butt. Can we change his name? And so he didn't remember that, but there's video from yesterday they watched on the body cam where he hands Officer Flores the gun and Officer Flores puts it in his back pocket. And he's like, she says, oh, okay, are you in charge of this investigation? And he's like, I'm just a patrol officer. And so the next day you went and talked to the kids. And he says, yes, I went and talked to the kids at grandma's house. They went to Trezelle's mom's house who had the other 4 kids. And she's like, you didn't look into the sex offenders for 11 days, the sex offenders in the area for 11 days. And she says, do you remember what sex offenders in the area you spoke to? And she reminded him there were 6. You went to 6 houses that had registered sex offenders in the area. And she said you actually only spoke to 2 that were actual sex offenders. One of the others, you spoke to the mom who confirmed that the sex offender lived there. One, you spoke to a roommate, confirmed that the sex offender lived there. And one, you went to some random person. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. That one confirmed. And then one, you went to a house with one who has a registered sex offender address. And you said, you looked for that person and they're like, I have no idea who you're talking about. The person's not here. And you didn't follow up on that, she says. Like, the person's supposed to live there and they don't even know who it is. And you didn't follow up on that. That kind of ended right there. Like, leave that hanging. And then they asked him what 1015 means. And he said, it means arrest. So you're supposed to call in, I guess, and say if you can 1015 somebody. Yeah, 11 days. And he said, I'm just catching up with my own handwriting here. He says, she said, did you say well, she quoted it wrong. She said, did you say go F yourself to Trezelle? And he's like, I don't remember that. And then she gets the transcript and she says, oh, okay. Somehow he goes, oh, Trezelle says something about the little boys being black boys. So he's like, oh, you're going to play the race card, huh? And then Trezelle's like, okay, you can leave now. Like, you can leave my house now. This is getting too much. And Hanson says to Trezelle, get the F out of here. So he yelled at him, and you can hear it. Get the F out of here. So it's getting really kind of nasty, you know. And thank you, Rosie. West. Okay, take me to the guy. West said, she says, he told you, take him to the guy he spoke to. He wants to show you the guy he spoke to, because remember, they're telling Trezelle they never saw him on video anywhere where he says he went. And he's like, take me to the guy. And they wouldn't do it. She's like, so you didn't take him to the guy. He was going to take you to the house and the person he talked to when he was looking for the boys, asking about the boys, but you didn't take him there. And he says, I'm going to take you somewhere. Intimidating, like, I'm going to take you to jail is what he was insinuating. Because he then says, I'm going to can I 10-15 him? He calls in, basically asking if he can arrest him. And then Jacqueline, so that was the Trezelle's attorney. So then Jacqueline's attorney, I believe it's Jacqueline's attorney at this one. There's two attorneys because Jacqueline has an attorney and Trezelle has an attorney. She's like, did you ever review the transcripts at all? And he's like, no. And she asked him if he has a department phone. He says, no. She says, what kind of footprint training do you have? He says, she goes, do you have any formal footprint training? Because you can hear him in the body cam footage the first day of the trial where he's saying, I'm an expert on this. I'm good at footprints. I didn't see, there's no kids' footprints here. I'm an expert. So she brings up, what kind of training on footprints do you have? And he's like, just, like regular footprint training, like, probably like what any of us have. And then what kind of training do you have on dog scent? He's like, no. And then he was like, I don't remember this and that. And he said, did you know that Jackie was in the backyard at all? And he's like, I don't remember. And then it turns out that he did mention that before, that he knew she was in the backyard. And then she says, did you know if the Wests house is on the same level as the other house with the camera from on the other side? And then he's like, I don't remember. She's like, did you call CPS? I don't remember calling CPS, he says. And she says, well, but it's on there. It says there is video footage of the boys walking down the street, possibly going eastbound. It's on the report or whatever that went to. I really wish we could see this because I want to know like the exhibits and stuff, because it's hard to understand completely when you can't see the exhibits like the jury can see. So somewhere, somehow, it's documented something to CPS that these boys were seen on some video walking down the street, but nobody has this, which is just really weird, which makes zero sense to me. That again, they talked more about the Nest Google not being in the report, that he actually called them, contacted them, asked him if he could get more footage of Mr. Dobbin across the street's house. Mr. Dobbin had come home about 12:20. And on his way home, he rejoined the paid version, but they couldn't go backwards, so you could only see going forward then. Yeah, the opening statements video is out there, and I think everything had to be approved by the judge. So I don't know if it's the full thing or just the clips from the news. And then she asked him about the diapers, that they found the package of diapers. They're size 6. And she said, do you know what that means, size 6? Do you think it means a 6? Like, it's not by age, right? Do you understand that? It's by weight. Do you know what weight a size 6 diaper works on? You don't remember any mention of additional video showing the boys walking. No, this is new. This is new. Never heard this before. This is in the report to CPS. It was in the trial. So no, I've never heard it before either. This is the first time. She says, do you know a size 6 diaper? It's about weight, not age. And he's like, I don't know. And she's like, it's for kids. What kind of diapers do you use? Because he had said yesterday about my kids, I have a kid that age or whatever. What kind of diaper does your kid wear? And he's like, I don't know. I think Huggies. And she's like, well, have you ever bought diapers? And he's like, no, my wife buys diapers. I've never bought. She's like, you've never bought diapers ever? Nope. I'm like, who doesn't send their husband to the store for diapers? Number one, first of all, I've never heard of such a thing. And number two, that's just okay. He must have a very nice wife that does all the shopping and never has to send him to the store. So the search warrant came about on December 29th. And so this was December 21st. The search warrant was put on the house on December 29th, where they came in and they did a real extensive search. They let them search, but they let them search on the first day. They let him come on in, search, look everywhere. She's like, did you go in the bedroom? Did you go in the bathroom? Did you go in the this? Did you go in the that? Did you go in the kids' room? Did you go to, yes. So before they ever got the search warrant, the Wests were like, come on in. But the weirdest part, I thought this was like a jaw drop moment for me. She said, she showed a picture during the search warrant, and apparently there was a dirty diaper that was in I think it was his picture, and there was a dirty diaper that he missed completely. And then there were presents for Orrin and Orson under the tree. There was Play-Doh. He didn't take a picture of any of this. He said he didn't see the Play-Doh. There was a present with magnetic tiles. She said, do you know what that is? He's like, no. She said, do you know what age group that's for? He was like, no. Ball pit balls, stuffed animals on the floor. Orrin's stocking was Spider-Man. Orson's stocking was Darth Vader. And then she showed him a picture of the dining room table. And around the dining room table, there were seven chairs around the dining room table. And she said, 5 of them have on this picture, 5 of them have Christmas hats on them. And he's like, 4. And then there was some confusion there. And she's like, well, look, the picture, there's 5 chairs with Christmas hats on them. And she goes, do you have any idea where that other 8th chair is? Because they have 6 kids, 2 parents. And he says, I don't know. So then she finds a picture of that 8th chair in the house in one of the bedrooms of the kids, and it has the Santa hat on it too. So there were literally 6 kids' chairs with Santa hats that belonged to the dining room table that he never, just completely didn't do anything about or say, but because he was looking for stuff. Remember, he was looking for sippy cups. He was looking for stuff that would mean there were little kids there. But she makes it very clear that he missed a lot of things that were for little kids. She said, there's a closet with clothes, right? He's like, yeah. And she said, and the clothes were in descending size, right? And she said, there was a tub of clothes there too, right? Did you look in there? I mean, the guy literally was like, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't recall. I don't know. You know, I mean, I know it's been 2 years, but this is why you document things, everything. Like, it makes me crazy because I could be called back to court for 18 years for a baby I delivered. Do you think I'm going to remember? I get called to court tomorrow for a baby I delivered 17 years ago that had some birth trauma. You think I'm going to remember what those people at all? Maybe vaguely. It's all about what you document. You have to document. Lesson learned, everybody. I feel like we should be documenting our own normal lives, like everything that happens to us. If a neighbor says something, I feel like we should be charting. Everybody should be charting everything at all times. And I think that's why we got cameras and stuff now. It's documentation. She showed him a picture of a bathroom. So it's in a bathroom, a toilet, a trash can, and in that bathroom was a dirty diaper in the trash. Because I was thinking yesterday, maybe they aren't using diapers anymore. Maybe they're potty trained, but there's a dirty diaper. So he says there was no dirty diapers. They looked in the trash. They looked, no dirty diapers. That's what the other officer had said. And this one missed these dirty diapers that they were adamantly looking for because that would prove something. Didn't see them. Also in the hallway bathroom, there were toothbrushes. Didn't say anything about that, I guess. She said, did you look in their car, their van? Because they have a van. For 6 kids, you need a van, right? And he said, you don't remember car seats in the van? I was like, oh, I don't know. Didn't notice little car seats. Like the only kids that are going to be in the car seats, right, are the little ones. The other ones are little older kids, 10 and 7. I mean, maybe the older ones by law in California, but is it still 60 pounds and 6 years old and 60 pounds? I think that's the last I remember. I don't even know what it is anymore. And then in the garage, did you look in the garage? Did you see the kiddie pool in the garage? Because I guess they have a kiddie pool in the garage. Doesn't remember that. And then she said on the sliding glass door, there were dirty diapers. There were. They have evidence of them. So, but these cops said there wasn't yesterday. Like, it was a terrible investigation. That's all I can tell you. These patrol officers should not have been the ones doing the investigation because they suck. Little fingerprints. She said, you saw that there's fingerprints on the slider. There were fingerprints on the back door, I guess, like little fingerprints down low. And she says, did anybody seize these fingerprints? Did anybody take these fingerprints or anything? I don't know. And then she went into the interview with the children because he went and he interviewed those 4 other children. And she says, do you have any experience with child witnesses? Apparently there's this form. It's called the PC-26 form. And it's for suspect children, not for witnesses. So she made a point of saying, like, you filled out this form and asked this questions. And this form is not for witness children. It's for suspect children. And sorry, my room's getting dark. And so that form is not really the form they should have been using for witness children, I guess. And then she said, what if the kids answer one of the questions wrong? Because like this form is to make sure they're competent enough to answer your questions, right? And he goes, well, if they get one wrong or whatever, they're still pretty competent. I'm like, I don't know about that idea. Like, Brad, you got a couple questions wrong, but you're pretty competent. Like these test questions, like, do you know right? Do you know wrong? Do you know bad? Do you know good? Do you know? And then she says, do you have any experience with special needs children? And he's like, no. And she's like, what were you wearing when you interviewed the children? And he's like, shirt, pants. She's like, so was it just a plain shirt like you're wearing today? He's like, well, no. She said, I had my badge on. So she said, you had your police badge on. He said, yes. And you had your gun on your holster on your hip? And he said, yes. And she said, so you went in this house about 8:30 in the morning and you woke up these kids one by one and asked them questions. He's like, yeah. And she said, did they eat before you questioned them? He's like, well, no, I don't think so. And so she said you had a little trouble, I think, with questioning Aiden. Because they're Aiden, Devin, Adrian, and I have their names somewhere, but the 4 boys. And so then he went into, immediately into these questions. They were his questions. So he said, is it wrong to kill someone? Is it wrong to hurt someone? Were you taught about, anyway, basically he literally was asking these kids right off the bat, is it wrong to hurt somebody? Is it wrong to kill somebody? Is it this and that's that? So, and these kids were getting like, I guess their answers weren't super clear some of the time, but he didn't really note that as well. But I guess there must be body cam of this, is what I'm assuming, because I'm not sure how they know or if it's just his notes. Again, I wish I could see this stuff. Devin did not know the difference between right and wrong. He says, yeah, he didn't. Devin, when they asked Devin, do you know the difference between right and wrong? He said no. And Aiden could not give an example. Devin, the 6-year-old, struggled answering your questions, she said. And Adrian, difference to right and wrong, he said, yeah, to return something. Quote, that's what he said. And he didn't elaborate on that, to return something. And you didn't try to clarify that. And then he went into killing and examples of right and wrong. So that was really, really crazy. And I really hope there's a better interview with those kids. And when those kids come on the stand, that it makes more sense, because whatever this guy did, it's bad. And then she says, did you touch Jackie's inner thigh when you were interviewing her? She said it was just you and Zach. So back at the police headquarters the other night, when she was interviewed at whatever night, they brought Jackie and Trezelle in there. I guess there were people watching through camera, but he was sitting with Jackie alone, talking to her, like investigating this. And she said, did you touch Jackie's inner thigh? And then she said, do you remember what she was wearing? And she said, well, was she wearing leggings? And she says, do you recall moving your hand around when you touched? He says, I touched her knee. She goes, okay, do you remember moving your hand around when you touched her knee? So she showed a photo of this to him, and his hand is touching Jackie under the table. Slimy. I'm sorry. That is super slimy. This woman is looking for her lost children, and you're literally rubbing her leg under the table. She said, you touched my client's leg under that table. So then redirect comes, and yeah. Slimy Hansen, if these people are guilty, Slimy Hansen may have blown the whole freaking case, because he's such a, I'm going to call him Slimy Hansen. If that cop did that to me, oh my God, I'd slap him. But Jack, what, they're young, like, was she even 30, 31 years old? Yeah. You saw his picture, right? He looks like one of those guys that think he's like Mr., jock in school or in college, and you could just do whatever you want and take advantage of somebody. Seriously, that's the vibe I'm getting right now. And he's very casual and dismissive and not very, did you prepare for this trial? No. Did you read your stuff? No. Like he's just a jerk. Honey light, hold on. He said, well, redirect. So the prosecution comes up and they're like, okay, talk about this hand thing. And he goes, well, she was kind of crying. And so I was just touching her to comfort her. It was just comforting under the table, right? I mean, if you're going to comfort somebody, aren't you just going to kind of like, like pat their arm or something? You're not going to be like, "Ooh, lady, me and you alone in here, Mr. Officer. Let me Yes, cavalier. Yes, that's exactly. And then the redirect also said, okay, that PC 26 form, is that the only form? Who tells you to use that form to question kids? And he's like, Cal City, our department. That's what they say to use. That's the form they tell us to use. And then she's like, he said, you wanted to arrest them that night, right? Okay. Then they did play the body cam footage because the defense was trying to say that he was lying, that he actually got video of Trezelle not being there, which this is kind of a weird tactic because he was telling Trezelle, we saw video, you weren't there. But then in that, they play it and he's saying it confirmed that he saw his van going past that house on Harvard. And you're like, well, you don't have that video footage. You don't have it anywhere. So he did see him going there, but he told Trezelle that you weren't there. You're lying to me. You weren't driving around over there. Then Mr. Dobbins comes to the stand, and he is the young guy that lives across the street. I guess him and his wife bought the house when they were 19. They lived there about a year. They live in Texas now. And he was kind of funny. He's like, oh, no, why did you move to Texas? He says, to get out of California. And then he goes, respectfully. Everybody kind of laughed like, well, we are Californians here. You can't really, so even the judge was kind of funny about that later on. Jesse Dobbins, he's 23, moved to Texas 2 years ago, lived there for a year, bought the house, worked for NASA. He bought it when him and his wife were 19. They said, did you see the West move in? He says, I saw the old people move out. And I saw the new people move in. She said, have you ever talked to them? He said, yeah, I introduced myself one time. He said, another time I went over there to ask if they had an air compressor because my wife's tire was flat. So I went to the door and she said, they said, another time, I guess Trezelle was up on the roof cleaning the solar panels. He spoke to Trezelle less than a minute and a half. He said he saw some kids, heard some kids playing. They said, how many kids? Like 3 or 4 kids when you came to the door. How did you get the call from the police about the Nest camera footage? He said, I was at my father's house. It's like a Christmas party or something going on. I drove home. It took me about 37 minutes. On the way home, I purchased the subscription and logged in. Then at some point he bought food for the people and the officers and the neighbors, yada, yada, yada. And then there was cross-examination on this. And he said, on the way home, I upgraded. She clarifies that. Otherwise, it would have just been the stills because I had the free version. And then Jackie's attorney speaks and she says, the kids you saw, how tall were they? And he was like, oh, he's like up to about a hip. And he's like, Trezelle's hip? And he's like, yeah. And she goes, stand up, Trezelle. And says, so the kids were about right here, about the height of Trezelle's hip. And he's like, yeah. So obviously it's little kids. It's not the 10 and 11-year-old, right? Or the 10 and 7 or 9 or whatever. Some neighbors have puppies. I don't know, some about puppies around the neighborhood. And then, and yes, a neighbor on this side, this 108th Street neighbor. So let me pull up the map again because that might be easier real quick just to get a visual. Aspen. Let me get it. Get my stuffy nose. Maps. Okay. But this looks like more like it'd be. This is their house. One. Okay, hold on, somebody. Let me share. Let me share before I talk to myself and not share. So apparently this is their house, right? And this guy lived right across the street. But something about this house on the corner right here on this street had a motion sensing light. And then she says, just to go back for a second, as far as the kids at the hip height, she said about 4 feet. And he's like, yeah, so about the hip. And one was a little taller than the other. So literally, I don't know, hip height for 3 and 4-year-old sounds about right. And then the neighbor most corner side street. So that would be this. Okay, that's where I was. So the corner side street right here, whatever house is like over here, I guess, had a motion sensor camera. Oh, maybe it's this one or this one. I feel like it said the corner house on 108th. Man, I wish this could be recorded so we could go back over it. This is so unfair that we can't listen to the whole trial. And then they were talking about the West house. He said, yes, he saw somebody throw a brick. The car went by, threw a brick right through their window and kept going after all this, like in the days following, like the week following, and literally bashed in the West window with the ridiculous though. Come on, people. And then that was about 10 days later, right? So he said it got crazy with his own house. He said people were going through his house. People were going through in his backyard, in his house, in his trash can. So remember, I don't know if you remember, but this crazy YouTube community got really wacky with this thing. People were showing up. People were yelling, where are the boys? Where are the boys? And going through there, people were going through the West trash. The neighbors said they were going through his trash. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable how crazy everybody got with this whole thing. It turned into a bunch of like low life craziness. And he had to block phone numbers. They were calling his grandmother. And then the police actually came to Texas and got his phone in 2021. He did, when they were like searching and stuff, he did that. But this is like a little bit later or before or after, I don't know. He was like, it got too much. People were going through his crap. Yeah. You found it? The opening statements on the channel Crime Mystery Monster. Okay, perfect. Thank you. You guys can all watch that when I'm done. This was a longer day than I thought. Then, oh my God, Robin Plants came to the stand. You were there every day. Okay, Mama too. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You were there every day? Because he said on the stand people were going through his trash and in his yard and calling his grandma and stuff. So that's what Jesse said was happening. So Robin Plants. Yes, Jesse is the neighbor facing Jesse Dobbins. Oh, okay. You were there from the start to the beginning, but you didn't get crazy. You didn't get crazy. Okay, got it. You did a lot of search stuff. Gotcha. You weren't part of the crazy. You weren't digging in Mr. Dobbins' trash can or calling his grandma. Good. I'm glad to hear it. You were on the news too? Oh, were you? Okay, are you the shorter one that was with Cheyenne? Was that you? The reasonable one? Now I'm curious. Okay. So Robin Plants was an interesting person. Oh, that's so nice of you. Oh, you're not that person. You tried to stop a lot and clean up. Short hair. Yeah, 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 yeah. Are you the one that she whispered to about the truck going by? All right. We'll get to that later. I'm curious now, though. And that is very kind of you to be. If you're who I'm thinking of, you were very invested. I remember that. I do remember that and helping. So Robin Plants lives behind them. So let's get that map back up here again. So this lady came on the stand. She lives in New Mexico now, but she lived in Cal City for 21 years at this house. This is her house right here. And she spends a lot of time skimming her pool. And they've fixed the fence back here before. So this is her house. And she was on the news. And she, I don't know. I don't think she's a great witness myself. She seems like a very nice lady. But her, that's awesome. That's very nice of you. It's nice when nice, good people come together and help with stuff like this. And don't throw bricks through windows and stuff, right? Like, that's not necessary, but there are good people. There's more good people than bad. I know. Absolutely. The truth is what matters. We just want justice for the kids. I want to take the whole, I think she thinks whatever out of it and let the jury really trust the process and hope the jury really does their job. And I feel very comfortable about the jury process, except for a couple cases out there that we've seen over the years. But I feel like it works well. And I hope that whatever happens here is the right thing. So she moved from Cal City and to New Mexico. She says she spent a lot of time in the backyard. Her husband, her, and her grandkids. She said she never, ever saw any kids or heard any dogs in the yard. Now, from what I'm understanding, the West had 3 dogs. She said she never heard anything. She even says that on the news. And Jesse forgot he did a Facebook Live and said he saw all the kids the day he went to borrow the air compressor. He said he didn't do any interviews. Yes, where is that? Where is that? Because they asked him, they may have it, because the way she asked him, did you do any Facebook? Well, no, because was he subject to recall? I think he might have been. So they may bring that back up. He said he saw 6 kids. So why is he, he lives out of state now. It's just weird. People changing their stories and stuff. So bizarre. So anyway, she said she never saw any lights, but the people who lived there before her had a pot growing farm. And so when they moved, the smell went away. Thank God, she says. But then she said that she never heard any kids in the West house. She never heard any dogs. So I don't think she's super credible, because there were dogs there. We know that. And there were at least 4 kids there. We know that. That's not a lie. And so I don't know. Oh, YouTube Live. Okay, got it. And I just don't know how her testimony is very credible at all, because she didn't know anything. She just said she never saw any kids, never saw any dogs, never heard any kids, never heard any dogs. But there's an absolute fact that there were dogs and kids there. Maybe not Orrin and Orson. We don't know. But there was Damien, Aiden, all them. They were there. The other neighbors saw them. And there were short ones there, little ones. The other neighbors saw them. And now you guys pointed out, remember that other whole thing with Jesse on YouTube. Gosh, if anybody could find that, that would be great. I would love to see that at this point. And then she said there was a guy, he was there on that day, and he was moving around, going in and out the fence. He was wearing a red sweater. And her dog barked at him but her dog never barks, and it's a schnauzer and it never barks. And we were kind of like, okay, your dog never barks. Trezelle was moving in and out. Maybe there was a person there, like a stranger that grabbed the kids, and that's what the dog. That's all. I'm not even going there. That's like some weird thought in my head, but who knows? But she says we're wearing a red sweater. And then she did see the white van go by that day looking for the kids. But was that white van, or was that box white van? I don't know. But Robin Plants confused me. She just confused me. And she was like, I didn't hear this. I don't know. No. And she's very dramatic. Like, she has a big secret to tell. And then she's like, I don't know. My memory's really, really bad. She said on the cross-examination, she said, my memory is bad in several areas. You're like, oh my God, lady, you just like, nobody's going to take whatever you said seriously now. You just literally announced how bad your memory is to the jury. It's comical in a way, like, okay, that was like, wow, pick that witness. Because she didn't know anything. Literally didn't even know the things that were actually happening for sure that we know. So she said her husband's disabled, and they wound up going and joining the search because she can't leave him alone. So they went in the car and they joined the search. And then cross-examination, the detective Hernandez spoke to them on June 21st, 2022. Detective Hernandez spoke to them just this past June, last summer. Then 1 to 2 days after gathering wood is when they were looking for the boys. She doesn't remember saying she saw a dog because apparently on the news or somewhere, or some interview, she had told somebody she saw a dog, but now she doesn't remember that. The fence is a standard 6-foot planks fence. They replaced some. She wears glasses since she was 6 years old. People came to the door. Somebody was at the door filming her, and she was like, what? And she was like, and then the defense attorney was like, no, the real news, not the YouTubers that came to her door. I guess YouTubers. She was some guy was there and girl came to the door and they were filming her, and she was very upset about that. And then she said, well, you told the police that you told the interview that you had never been interviewed by the police. And that was really confusing. She was like, well, I thought, oh God, I wish we could play it back. It's just so weird because she was so all over the map. Like, I just was like, can we just let her go now? And just scratch all that. Can we just scratch all that? And then Trezelle's attorney said, what, you weren't home that day? She said, no, we had to go to Bakersfield. My husband had a doctor appointment. And then the dog's name is Heidi, and Heidi was barking that day, and Heidi never barks, and that's her schnauzer. And then they went back to redirect, and she said, how long? Oh, because she was all about skimming her pool. She skims her pool every day. She goes out and skims her pool every day. So she knows what's going on. She said she looked through the fence. She admits she's nosy, and she's never seen any kids. And she skims her pool every day. And she's like, well, you came back after the doctor appointment. She goes, yeah, I didn't skim too long that day because it was dark. It got dark. It gets dark really early in California. We're so much further south. It's like dark at 5:00, 5:30, on December 21st. Isn't that like the shortest day of the year, summer solstice or something on that day? Maybe it was at everyone's door. I think you're right. Isn't that winter solstice the shortest day of the year? That day, 21st. I feel like that's the day. And then she wasn't out there skimming her pool too long because it was dark, and she said her memory is bad in several areas. I don't know if that would be the shortest day of the year. So it got dark early. And then she said something about, they asked about Trezelle or who they saw. And then she said, I think who I saw had a dark colored ski hat on. And then she said she looked to the fence and she saw him carrying wood. And that was it, because they the next witness is going to take long, I guess, like another long body camera footage thing, and they're not back until the 10th. So they're not back tomorrow or all next week. So we are on break. So I hope that's helpful and not crazy and confusing. Again, you have to remember how I'm doing this. Well, I'm just like writing a note, listening, writing a note. So there's probably stuff I've missed, but I try to catch the biggest, most important things that pop in. And I think we got a pretty good amount. Let's see. Thank you. In depth. Thank you so much. This is more information on our channel so far. Now, again, I got to admit that right from the beginning, I never ever was fully convinced that they were guilty. And I was surprised when they got arrested. And then I was like, well, I guess I was wrong. But now listening to the trial, I'm kind of trying to go back to complete neutralness. Not saying they're innocent, not saying they're guilty. I just want to think like a juror right now. And it's hard because I can't see the evidence, but I'm really trying to just clear all that other stuff out of my head. It is. Okay, right? It's just crazy and confusing. Thank you very much. A lot to keep up with it. It was. And, we're only using one of our senses, right? We're only listening. We're not seeing like we wish we could be. So, but I do appreciate you guys hanging out, listening to my notes of the day. And if you're not a YouTube member or a Left Undone loyal Lou, is what we call our members, you're more than welcome to join us in we have, anybody can come to Discord. Did we put the link to Discord in the chat for anybody who wants to come in and try to figure it out? I know a lot of people don't know how to work Discord, and it threw me for a while, but you'll figure it out. You just show up, you wind up in general chat, you can just start chatting, then you can look and see all the other channels that are in there, like the Vallow Daybell. There you go. Thank you, Nightbot. Thank you. That's the loyal Lou one. Ruby, thanks. Okay, but let me find the Discord link. Whoops. Okay. Right here. I need to get my other computer screen because I feel like, and again, we talk about this stuff constantly in Discord. There's always people in there chit-chatting about everything, and it's not a super busy, huge group. It's a nice group of people. So you're welcome to come hang out with us. And let's see. Anything else before we end? I am hooked on a show right now on Apple Plus. It's called Shrinking, and it is so funny, the acting, and it's really good, but it's based on this guy's wife dies, and then he's raising his teenage daughter, and they're all messed up. Yay! Welcome, Midnight Noon. Thank you for becoming a loyal Lou. Thank you. It's fun, and you'll like it. And you've been with us before, though, weren't you? My memory is as bad as Robin Plants. So I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. And anything else? Wait, I'm going to read this. Hold on. I see something here. Rosie. Trezelle said to Hansen he wanted him to take his missing boys serious because missing Black kids are not taken serious. Hansen said race and race card. That's it. Race card. That's where he said that. That's pretty not cool. But I believe that, honestly, because what I do as a high-risk OB nurse, case manager, Black pregnant women aren't taken seriously. And they have the highest morbidity, mortality rate in the country. And they're not taken seriously. And I have patients call me all the time, and they're like, my doctor sent me home. These are my symptoms. He's not listening to me. I'm like, oh my God, So it's a thing. It really is a thing. And I never really realized how bad it was. Because when I was working labor and delivery, the community, it was Newport Beach, California. Like But now that I do what I do, I have a bigger threshold of patience. I have to carry a 70 caseload all the time. Yeah, you know what? Midnight Noon, I knew it. But you know what happened? As I canceled all the memberships for a while, I was trying to restructure everything, and I didn't want people to pay because I was kind of on a hiatus for a while. So I just dropped everybody. But I think you guys didn't get a real notice of why and what happened, because some people were like, I don't think my credit card's working. I'm like, no, I canceled the whole thing for a while. And so I restructured it. So that's where we're at now. So people are welcome to come back. If you thought you were a member and you're not, come on back, because I'm the one that kicked y'all out for a little bit. And then I redid it. You can ask these guys, Ruby and them. They were with me while I was trying to figure all that stuff out. So I do appreciate it. And you have the link to Discord, and now you have the emojis, and that's about it. And they were foster adopt. No one cared. And that's the problem. Again, what I was saying earlier too is I see that as well. I see a lot of moms that lose their kids to the system and blame the system, but don't change their own lives. And then they have another baby and they lose that one. And I had one just recently saying, she was on like baby number 6 and she didn't have any of them. But this one, she said, this one I'm going to raise. This one I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to raise this one. So, these kids get caught up in the system, and the system is not great. I mean, nothing is greater than having a loving, caring mom that either adopts you and wanted you with all their heart, or births you and wanted you with all your heart, Thank you, Jessica. Hard work and fantastic channel. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'm just a one of you guys, just a regular person, not a retired detective. I'm a nurse. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. And I do have a travel channel too. And it is called Beyond the Empty Nest, because I like to travel, and I have I went to Greece. I'm going on for my 3rd time. So if you're interested in traveling or seeing any of that, that's over there on a different channel. It's not monetized yet. It doesn't have that many subscribers. The link to listen to the trial, let me get you that. It is here. Oh, get rid of Officer Hansen. He can go now. I think I closed it just because Kern County. All right, here's the actual one. This should take you right to, here, let me share. Stop sharing that. Let me share this so you can see. So when you go there, you'll know you're in the right place. It'll take you to Judicial Branch, California, Superior Court of Kern County. And then you want to go to Metro Division Department Audio Streaming. And then it gives you all like, do not record this or we will kill you. We will put you in jail. You'll never see your children again. No, that's not what it says, but that's how I take stuff like that. I take it very seriously. Like, I'm not recording nothing, but I can take notes, right, mister? Yes, you can take notes. Okay. And then you're going to hit this and it'll say stream is unavailable. And then when it's available, you just keep doing it, because they start late every time, and then, or they forget to turn it on right at the beginning. But all of a sudden you'll see like green, like the voice things going up and down, like when you hear a voice. So this is it. Let me give you the actual link. It works best on my earbuds. If you have AirPods that you can wear, I hear it best with my earpods on. Way better than when I'm just playing it through the speaker. So that's a good point, Mom of two. Thank you, Cinderella. Oh, Jessica, thank you very much. You've been watching since I started. Check it out. Thanks. Yes. Oh, you did? You spent a semester in Greece? Oh, how nice. Oh, it's a whole semester. That's amazing. Yep. I'm going September 4th through the 19th. Everybody's like, why do you keep going back to Greece? I'm like, because I like it. And my family's, it's my roots. It's where my ancestor DNA says. I want to see where my people are from. Okay. Yeah. It works best with that for sure. I'm just scrolling to see if, okay, you got the live link now. Let me stop sharing that so you don't have to see that. And thumbs up, please, please, please. Subscribed. Yes, Ruby was telling her we were all dropped, and then midnight we was refreshed. Exactly. I refreshed you. All right. So that's all I got. We will be our lovely Cavalier mom, Idaho Mom Reports, is going to be at the Lori Vallow, Lori Vallow case first, because they're severed trial. She's going to go there as much as possible and report back to us. And she has her channel as well. So we will be getting the scoop on that. I wanted to go. I might still try to find a way to go maybe towards the end of the trial. We'll see. And then this one too. We're sticking with this one. I want to see. I can't. You know what? Honestly, I'm thinking I wouldn't mind. Although people probably hate me, I might need a bulletproof vest or something. But I may go because it's only 3. I think it's 3 hours for me to drive to Bakersfield. Pretty sure it's 3 hours. I've come through there when I drive to Oregon back to here, so I think it's 3 hours away. Yay! So I may try to go to this trial towards the end of it as well. We'll see. We'll see if I can get time off. I put in for 100 hours of PTO for my Greece trip, so it's really hard. Yes, West case is very important. They're all important. Everything's happening right now. And then Letitia Stout too. So, all righty, guys. Have a good night. If you want to watch a funny show on Apple Plus, Shrinking is really good. It's good. And I'm on episode 8, I think, season 1. I know it's kind of completely different, but it's nice to think about true crime, think about work with serious business, true crime with serious business, and then go watch something funny. And you guys all stay safe and stay well. And I will be back soon for sure. We'll keep covering this case and whatever else. And I appreciate you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for thumbs up. Thank you for everything. All right. Stay safe. Stay well. I will see you soon.